GoFest 2025 is here. Whether you're going to Osaka, Jersey City, or Paris, we have everything you need to know right here in this video. You'll want to pause it, check out the sections, save it, make sure you come back, and don't forget to subscribe while you're at it.
One of the most popular questions on how to prep for GoFest is what to actually bring with you. So this is an in-person event, and it's really not that complicated. We have a few key things that we always bring to events with us, so let's get into that right now.
The bag we use is this lunchbox backpack. This is a Rafe backpack, so it's got a bladder that you can drink from. I really like it because it has compartments in here where I have the bladder for some water or something to drink, and I can also put things in there like battery packs or snacks. And it also has the holes in there where you can route the drinking part of the bladder through. So that also means that you can route cables through. So if you're running like a USB cable through there to charge your phone or to run a phone cooler or something like that, this is the perfect backpack for us. And we actually switched over to this from fanny packs because during the Unova tour, the stadium had a clear bag policy and you couldn't bring in a black fanny pack. So we said, let's go ahead and get something that's stadium approved. We use that when we stream, we use it when we travel and go to events, and we're really liking this lunchbox backpack so far.
If you're interested in it, we'll drop the link in the description. We also will have a coupon code there for you as well, so this is definitely worth getting. Now, one of the biggest things to also bring with you at GoFest are battery packs. You might need one, maybe two. I recommend bringing two because you're gonna definitely need to charge your phone the whole time while you're playing because this is a full day event. 3 to 4 days of full gameplay depending on how much you are playing. So a battery pack is a must because you don't want your phone to die. But the reason why you may need a second battery pack is that you might need to also run a phone cooler. This is during the summer. It can be really hard on your phone. The park experience usually has no shade, so your phone is just directly in the sun. So a phone cooler is great. This is the phone cooler we use, and these are the battery packs that we use. The only thing about the phone cooler is that you do need an external battery. So that's why we recommend two, one just for our phone cooler and one to charge our phone.
You also want to make sure that you have a Go++. We've been using this at all the events, and we really like that there's different ways that you can catch. So if it catches or spin stops for you, or if you're doing a lot of raiding, you can have them click to catch to throw ultra balls for you. And also, if you have a bunch of stops around you, if it's not catching, it's at least spinning stops and replenishing all of your items. That's the thing. Sometimes I've gone in areas and just burned through items. Like we did this route one time and there were like no Pokestops on there, and I was just throwing so many Pokeballs and you start getting low. But if you're in an area with lots of stops, that Go Plus is going to be spinning for you and help you restock really quickly.
There's some other miscellaneous items that you want. So one thing is maybe a poncho, depending if it's going to rain or not. This is always something that you can pick up in the city that you're going to as well, just depending if you want to pack it. Definitely pack sunscreen and a hat. You're definitely going to get sunburn if you are not prepared. So sunscreen and a hat, probably both would be very helpful. Water bottle, or if you have that lunchbox bag, it has a bladder, so you don't need a water bottle, which is why we like that. That's one less thing to carry with us. You want a good pair of shoes, one that you're comfortable walking in. We walk in Crocs. I'm not saying that you should wear Crocs or you shouldn't wear Crocs. If you're not used to walking in Crocs, maybe don't do that. But if you are, Crocs are a good shoe. That's what we wear. And then comfortable clothing because it is going to be hot. So activewear, athleisure, anything like that. Maybe shorts because it is going to be extremely hot. You're going to be walking a lot. So just be really comfortable.
Check out the link in our link tree to our Amazon store, and it's directly the products that we recommend.
The second most asked question that we usually get about GoFest is what is the event actually like? Like what is this actual GoFest experience like? So we break it down into two sections. There's a park experience, then you have your citywide gameplay. Let's talk about the park experience first because this is a crucial part to understand, but it is only half of your day.
The park experience is a lot of fun, but there's so many things to do. You definitely want to go in with a plan to make sure that you can complete or see as much as possible. So the first thing that I want to say is do your special research. Your special research is where you're going to get that mythical Volcanion, and it has these tasks that need to be completed in the park. So you might need to go to a certain habitat, spend some stops,
catch Pokemon in certain habitats.
Yeah, catch Pokemon, snapshots, anything like that. So make sure you're doing the researches, the special research that needs to be completed at the park. That way you don't just leave and you're like, oh man, I didn't do this, and you have to contact support and they get you through. So have fun doing the special research. And then also when you go in, there might be things you want to see, take pictures of, and that's why you want to get that special research done. That way, knowing it's out of the way, you can take your time catching, seeing the attractions and whatnot, and just having a good time playing the event.
And I'll add a few things about that. So one thing is like, make sure you know what the park map looks like. Typically a few days beforehand, you'll get a map of the area, but it's also going to be in Campfire. So make sure you have that app downloaded, but know where the habitats are. Because typically I feel like it's always like the opposite corners of the park. So they're definitely going to make you walk and everything. So that's kind of what makes it take a little bit longer. But also once you complete the part of the research that's park dependent, you don't have to focus on that research anymore. And that's when you can do the other things of the park experience.
There are a lot of things to do at the park. It's a great place just to play Pokemon Go because you don't have to worry about crossing the street, worrying about traffic. It's just a bunch of people walking around playing Pokemon Go together, and it just makes it easy for you. But there are things to see. Sometimes they have attractions set up that you have some good photo op. Maybe there's some Pokemon characters there that you can take photo ops
meet and greets,
with.
yeah.
Yeah, do the meet and greets or things that you want to participate in if you can get little prizes. At least in the US, I know at the tents they had trivia at the Team Mystic tent. So if you really wanted to answer some questions, you can get a little prize.
Okay,
so
and I encourage you to do it. I did it and I was so scared because I was like, I'm gonna get this answer wrong because some of the questions are like actually kind of hard, but I knew the one.
Hey, you got it right.
I was so nervous, so I'm not gonna lie. Like Cream mentioned, you're gonna have like the interactive displays. Sometimes you can like go through it. Sometimes it's just a photo op. You have like the team lounges where you can hang out and chill. And it's also like a shaded area, but then you also have the merch tent. Now, I will give you a warning. The merch tent is a very long line and it might not be really worth your time standing in line, or you might want to, or get to the park early, depending if you really want to get some merch. Now, if you have ordered merch ahead of time, you'll be able to go to a separate line, but that's still gonna be just as packed. And most people wanna see the additional merch. There is some pretty cool merch, but it is gonna eat into your like park experience. So just be mindful of that because the lines can be really, really long.
The map's divided into sections, usually habitats. So they might have a certain group of spawns in this one area, then you have to walk to another area to see a different group of spawns. So be familiar with the Pokemon that you're hunting. That way you can spend the most time in the habitats that you really enjoy the most.
And towards the end of the video, we're gonna go over like the highlights of some of the Pokemon to really look out for. But in the parks, that's a really good time to grind specific Pokemon you want, because in the citywide gameplay, it's gonna be all the Pokemon. And so in the park is the only time you're really gonna get the habitat specific Pokemon. So if there is one that you really, really are shiny hunting, hang out in the habitat more than others. One thing that's really interesting and unique about the park is you won't see anything before or right after the event ends. So as soon as the event ends, you're gonna see all the Pokestops, all the gyms, but there are constantly raids at the gym. So you can raid your heart's desire, as many raids as you want to do. They will constantly be filled, but you cannot send remote raids to these because they only exist for you as a ticket holder. They won't even exist for us if we're not attending that same park day and park time. So just be mindful that you won't be able to get your friends in, and it's really just an experience for you. So you don't have to worry about that and just experience really the whole event as what it's meant to be.
You really want to make sure that you plan your transportation. Getting there early, making sure you have a way to leave once the event is over. When we played in Madrid, it was pretty easy that we took an Uber, we got there, we left. But whenever we played in New York City last year, we took the ferry there, which is very easy.
Yeah, easy
but
getting there.
Leaving with the ferry, though, so many people taking it. I mean, an hour and a half, 2 hours after the event, you're sitting there
and
waiting
no
in line.
spawns.
When is
That's
the ferry?
yeah.
No spawns. It was hot, it was miserable, so we didn't really plan our exit from the park since we took the ferry there. So you really want to think about how you leave the park, what transportation you have, because you want to get out of there as fast as possible and go and do your citywide gameplay.
So the citywide gameplay portion is the largest part of your portion, and it is up to you how many days that you play, how much you add on to this. We're going to be talking about the add-ons a little bit later, but understanding how citywide gameplay works is really important in actually planning the rest of your gaming strategy, because at the park, everything's kind of handled for you. It's super easy, it's really fun, but the citywide gameplay, you have to know like where to play, how to play, what you're really looking for, and everything like that. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about to give you like a sense of like what to expect.
For the citywide gameplay, it starts at 9 a.m. and it goes to 6 p.m. But the raids usually start spawning at 5 a.m. So you can get a lot of raids in before the citywide gameplay. Then you could just focus on catching and playing the event. And then you can do raids after 6 p.m. until the end of the day. Just think about whether or not you want to be raiding during the citywide gameplay, or if you do want to strategize that to get some raids knocked out early.
Because the spawns and eggs are only active from that 9 to 6 period. So you will not see any spawns in the morning, but also like you might not want to wake up at 5 a.m. and do raids. Now it is fun like from 5 to 8 p.m. to do raids, because you can like do dinner and do raids that way. So if you find like a place with a couple clusters of raids, that's really fun, but not everyone like wants to wake up early. But one thing that we've learned is like last year, whenever we did the tour and the GoFest, we did a lot of raids in the morning, but then we also raided a lot during the event. And I think we've realized that it is really important to catch during the event because you're going to miss out on a lot of those wild shiny spawns. So just be mindful of that, right? You are going to be able to play global as well, so you don't have to go as hard, especially because we're not getting the Zamazenta or Zacian energy. So because you're going to have to raid those during global just to get the energy. So just be mindful of that. Like, it is important to understand like the rest of the gameplay and like global and how that really impacts. But yeah, understanding like raids start at 5 a.m., go till 8 p.m., but spawns and eggs are only from 9 to 6.
You want to find a place that's easy to play to, that possibly has some shade, because it's during the summer, it's hot. You're going to want to step to the side and take a break, be in the shade, or even be near like shops where you can grab an extra bite to eat or something like that. In areas like New York City, we played in Central Park. We'll probably play in Central Park again this year, even though it's Jersey City.
We're already currently here in Osaka. One thing we like to do is if we're able to get to an area early to kind of figure out, so the Dotonbori area in Osaka is a great place to play. Not the most coverage. There's a little bit of these covered malls, but we've had a little bit of service problems. So also be mindful that you might have some service issues depending on where you're playing. But New York City Central Park is a great place to play. The only issue is it's so easy to stay by all of those gyms. But if you walk between some of the areas, you can get some hatching done. Then Paris, we haven't played there before. We've never been there, but I think that Louvre area seems like where a lot of people plan to play. So also use apps like Campfire, because those local communities that are from the area will probably put meetups together in popular areas. So you can always do that and find some people to play with if you don't have a group yourself. Use those apps because they'll probably have meetups together. So if you're not going with friends, you at least have someone to play with.
And make sure you know all aspects of gameplay. You need to know exactly what's in raids, make sure you know what's in eggs, snapshot encounters, wild spawns, max battles, anything, any component of the game, incense spawns, anything on there. That way you're not missing any component. So you end the event and like, man, I didn't capitalize on that.
Yeah.
You really don't want to have that feeling. So just go in with a plan, look over the website. We're going to cover this information too. Make sure you really know all aspects of gameplay.
Another big part about the event is understanding the add-ons that you have. Now, you don't have to buy the add-ons. If you're buying the citywide gameplay though, I probably would recommend buying these add-ons. But the first one is Raid Lover. So it's $15 USD, just depending on like where you're playing. You get 18 free raid passes per day. So if you are doing all 4 days of citywide gameplay plus your park day, that's 18 times 4. That's a decent amount of raids for free that you're getting, or not free, like you paid for it, but for $15, that's pretty good. You're getting 5,000 XP for completing raids. So you're gonna be getting a lot of XP. Probably wanna use a lucky egg while you're raiding. You get 6 additional candy and then 3 additional XL candy for catching. This is huge because the Zacian and Zamazentas are going to be able to use in max battles. So that means you'll be able to level up their max moves. So it's just a ton of candy and a ton of XL candy that you're going to need. So the Raid Lover bundle, in my opinion, is a really good deal. Then we have the Egg Enthusiast add-on. It is a quarter hatch egg distance. So you're going to be hatching a ton. That quarter hatch really adds up over time. 3 times hatch XP, 3 times hatch candy. So you can get a lot of candy for the Pokemon you're hatching, and 3 times hatch Stardust. Now, the biggest thing about this is this event will probably prioritize 7-kilometer eggs. Is how it was last year. We still at the time of recording this don't know the egg pool, but it's such a good way to get Stardust. And we have like a thought about the eggs. So egg events are some things that sometimes we skip. So major events like Go Tour and Go Fest, we actually will encourage everyone to hatch, even if you're not a normal hatcher. It's just a great way to get Stardust. Like you can get so much Stardust, especially if you have this add-on with it. So I would encourage you guys to hatch during this event. It's like that 1 time of year or 2 times a year that you like want to hatch. Other events, it might not be worth it, but this is one that's definitely worth it.
Another really popular question is actually how to prepare in Pokemon Go to play the events. And the first one that I want to address is storage. Pokemon storage, exactly. You probably want at least 1,000 free space. That way you can catch as much as you can. You might have to clear out a little bit, but having at least 1,000 is a great benchmark. Bernie and I play with a little bit more than 2,000, 2 to 3,000 actually, of free space. But I would say 1,000 is kind of that minimum that you want to look at to be able to just kind of freely play the event without having to transfer. During the event, you could do end of day, something like that. But
yeah, I would say like you're still gonna probably have to clean up your storage. So the next tip then is like to make sure that you have some search strings saved up so that way you can clean your storage really easily. You can't manually check thousands of Pokemon because that's about like what you're gonna be catching. So the biggest thing that I wanna say about search strings is you wanna have a Yay search string. So the Yay search string not only is just like super fun, but it's a really good way to just like favorite those like really, really good Pokemon you catch. It's gonna show you your hundos, your shinies, and potential shundos. So it is a or search string, so you might have a shundo in there. If you want, have your own shundo search string as well. But the reason we call it yay is because you say yay whenever you get shinies and hundos, so have that. But then you might, okay, depending on how like you play and like what Pokemon you like to collect, you might want a Nundo search string, you might want a PvP search string, and then you just favorite those, and that way, like towards the end of the event, you can have a clean tag, and you can just literally transfer all and clean that out.
I like to have a clean tag too. I make it different for each event. So when I use a clean tag, I don't like to just highlight all and transfer. I still do a quick scan over just to kind of look for things. But what I like to do is go ahead and ignore things that have been favorited. Like you're not going to transfer your shinies and legendaries anyway, but go ahead and write out, make sure it's not shiny, make sure it's not legendary. Certain types that I like I don't want to transfer any dragon, so I'll say and not dragon.
Or if there's one that you want to trade with someone, just include like not in that Pokemon.
Yeah, you can have not that Pokemon in there. So maybe we can put together the string that we're using to clean, but it's, like I said, it's not 100%, but it is a quick way to go ahead and look and kind of see what you have.
Yeah, and one thing I'll add is like the way we do like a clean search is like we do a lot of nots. So like not 4-star, not shiny, not legendary, not ultra beast, not mythical, not dragon, not costume. I want to keep the costumes just in case, like you never know. And then like maybe like not Carbink if we're wanting to trade Carbinks. I know there's like a joke that everyone's tired of Carbinks, but Carbink is a tradable PvP IV. So we're gonna do not Carbink. So think about the Pokemon that you want to keep and either trade for an event or just because like, you're trying to look for like a really interesting one for some reason, is to do not in that Pokemon, and that's kind of a good way. But Cream says like you always kind of like kind of do a quick check, but you don't have to like, go and appraise each one. Like I wouldn't do that. That takes way too much time. You'll also want to prepare your in-game items as well. So one thing is you're going to want to hoard Pokeballs, preferably Ultra Balls if you can. Those are harder to get, but have Pokeballs, Great Balls, Ultra Balls. I wouldn't delete any at this point because you're going to need to use those for catching. You want to stock up on raid passes, egg incubators, star pieces, and lucky eggs. I feel like those are the items that you need the most of. And then you're also going to want to know where to put your rare candy, because if you're raiding a lot, you're going to get so much rare candy. So have a Pokemon or a few Pokemon that you want to just dump rare candy in, because it's going to end up taking up all your storage and you won't be able to spin those Pokestops.
You want to go ahead and be on the lookout for some box deals too. That way you have the best rate for coins to passes or coins to incubators. We have some boxes here. This shows the best price for coins to raid passes, and we like to stock up on this if we can, knowing that if we get that ahead of the event, because the last thing we want is to get more raid passes during the event and not have that best exchange. Same thing, here's a box right here for incubators. This is the best one for incubators. We try to stock up on that one too. You also want to prep your Curums and Palkias, Dialgas, things like that that you might use. We're going to use Black Curum pre-event when we do a bunch of raids and make it easier to catch, and then we're going to use Spatial Wren on Palkia during the event to extend that radius and catch more. So that's how we're going to queue that up. So what I mean by prepare those is if you get a lot of rare candy, if you get it from raids, PvP, drop those rare candy into those Pokemon. That way you don't go in and say, oh, I don't have any rare candy, and you can't use those adventure effects, because those adventure effects make a huge difference, especially Spatial Wren when you have all of the spawns. Now, we haven't tried grinding a bunch of raids using Black Curum yet, but that's kind of what we think, is that we can use that and grind through catching, like do a raid, catch really quick, because we do spend a lot of time sitting there catching
yes.
when we mass raid. So that's going to be a new strategy for us this
year. Because also, like we said, we think our strategy is going to mostly be raiding from that 5 to 9 period, and then from 6 to 8. So we're going to have a shorter raid period, but if we can catch faster, we in theory should be able to do as many raids as we did maybe throughout the whole day if we're just like raid, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not that we're not going to do any raids during the main event. It's just much, much less.
Yes.
So if we can go through and just grind in those off hours, then that makes it like, hey, if there's things to catch, we can catch those and not worry about missing out on raids.
So what we want to do now is go over some more highlight specific events about Go Fest. We're not going to do a full guide on every single spawn and everything like that. We're going to go over some of the big things just to kind of like keep your eye out on. And the first thing is the Volcanion. That's going to be coming through that special research. We mentioned you'll get that at the park day. You need to complete a portion of it, and then you'll eventually get your Volcanion from that research. So that's going to be a special research, and you only get one. So if you're playing global and you have the global ticket, you will not get a second one.
Also, make sure when you get Volcanion, you don't just go ahead and power it up all the way. I made that mistake last year with Marshadow, and I got my Marshadow in Madrid, and then when we played New York instead of getting another Marshadow, you get Marshadow candy. But for completing it, you had to power it up, and I spent all of my candy, so I had to drop rare XLs into it to be able to power it up one time to complete the research.
And even I think for global too, it's the same thing. Like you get candy, but you get the candy, you have to power it up. So yeah, don't power it up. I think you wanted to use it, but yeah, don't power it up. That's the lesson that we learned.
Just wait on powering it up all the way. That way you don't run out of candy like I did.
Yeah. And then we're going to be getting some shiny debuts to look out for. So one is Carbink. It's probably going to be in eggs. I also think it's in the wild as well. And then we have Frigibax. So that's like the dragon. We're going to be getting the Comday probably next year, but getting that shiny Frigibax early is really cool. The dragon's usually like in eggs and in raids though. So it's going to be a harder one to get. Like last year I didn't get Jingmo at all, but the year before I got all 3 Goomies for the family. So you just never know your luck.
Then we're going to be raiding Zacian and Zamazenta. Now, with the in-person events, we won't actually be getting any of that fusion energy from the raids, but we will get it from a research. So you'll get a set amount. So you've got a plan to do global if you want to stock up on more of the energy. And last year when we played for Necrozma, we got enough just to do 1 fusion in Madrid. Then when we played New York, we got enough for another fusion. So that way we went ahead and we had Dawn Wings and Duskmane. But for this, I assume maybe here in Japan, we'll get enough for one of the Zacian or Zamazenta. And then next, we'll get another one. So we'll see how much we get from these researches. That's the thing. You're going to get it from the research. And then global, you get more of that energy.
Yeah, and sometimes during global, there might be a research that might be like change its form. So some people like to hold off, some people like to do it ahead of time. It's kind of up to you if you want to do it. I'm going to probably do one because I already have a Zacian kind of powered up, so I might just go ahead and do that. I might hold on the Zamazenta, but also when you're rating these, you can get the location backgrounds. So a shiny with location background is super rare. That's always a good one to do like a lucky trade with if you want a lucky shiny location background. So just be mindful of that, but the location backgrounds and getting a shiny of that are very rare to get as well.
And you definitely want to go after the unknowns. Those can be some of the more rare Pokemon, so getting shinies of those letters is really cool. So definitely go after the unknowns. The unknowns are going to be in each of the habitats, so go to a habitat, figure out which unknowns are there, catch all of them, see if you get a shiny, and move along and really prioritize the one that you want most.
Yeah, and also, so one thing with the unknowns is like, each event we played, they've handled unknowns differently. Sometimes it's just in the incenses as well. So you could get them in incenses. Those details aren't out. And last year during GoFest, they had, we called it like the power minute for unknowns, where only unknowns were spawning for 1 minute on the top of the hour.
Was it 1 minute or 2 minutes?
No, it was just 1 minute.
1 minute. Okay.
Zorua was 2 minutes. That's why it's confusing.
Oh, yeah,
I know. It was just 1 minute though for, or maybe it was 2. I don't know. It's just a few minutes.
1 or 2 minutes.
1 or 2 minutes. It wasn't much. And don't raid before then. So you'll know if you're attending, you'll know very soon like if the unknowns are going to be spawning on the top of the hour. But try not to be in a raid in those last few minutes because then you're going to miss out on your chance. And they're higher shiny rates, so it's a really good way to like get some of those. But you want to like find a place that's really good to walk. So that's kind of a good way to like end each hour is like try to find somewhere so you can just walk in a straight line and try to get those spawns to come.
And when you're playing in the city, don't skip out on routes. That was something that we did. We didn't really do as many routes, but during the Unova tour, we did routes and we found it really enjoyable to be able to explore a little bit more and do routes. So I'm going to be on the lookout and see maybe a couple routes here, but you don't have to grind it, but at least consider doing some routes.
Yeah, it's a good way to explore a city, and it's going to take you to like key Pokemon Go spots. So actually a really funny example today, we're in the main kind of area by like the river, but we took a route towards the city and we actually ended up by like this tower, which had a whole another section that was great for Pokemon Go. And if we didn't do that route, we wouldn't have just like naturally stumbled upon that area. So do your routes because they will take you to some pretty good places that also might not be so crowded. So just do that. It's pretty fun. We're not really going to talk about the wild spawns per se. The one thing I want to mention is that in every city, we're all going to have the Carnival Grounds habitat. We're all going to have the Noble Fields and the Sunken Treasure. But that first habitat on the website is going to be different for each city. So like Osaka is the Calming Tea House, right? And let me explain that a little bit further. So in the Calming Tea House, we're going to get a different Spinda pattern, for example. But in New York City, whatever that first habitat is going to have a different Spinda, right? And then every city is going to also have the same Spinda for Carnival Grounds, Sunken Treasure, and Noble Fields as well. It's a little bit confusing, but just know that like when you're in the park experience to really take advantage of the Calming Tea House, because those will probably be really hard to get in the wild, and the other ones might be a little bit easier, especially if you're playing multiple Go Fests.
Events like this are great ways to get regionals too. So we have Holucha, that's usually in Mexico. It's going to be in the wild, and I'm going to try to stock up on that and try to get a really good PvP IV.
Yes, and it's a good time to get the candy for it so that when the shiny gets debuted next year going to the Go Tour probably, you'll have candy like power up a really good shiny, honestly. But yeah, like Cream was saying, this is a good time to get those regionals or just Pokemon you don't have, and then to also use them in PvP. We find that using regionals in PvP is like so much fun, so do not skip out on that.
And make sure you don't forget to do your snapshots. You'll get 3 per day and you'll get those Rotom encounters. Really cool. Make sure you do that. Catch those Rotoms.
And we don't know if it's going to be shiny. I really hope it can be, but even if not, the Rotoms are so cool to get. But yeah, only 3 a day, so just don't forget to do that.
I love at the events that they increase the special trade amount. So go ahead and plan your lucky trades. If you've been opening up gifts from friends that are also going to be attending the event, or if you've had a lucky trinket and you've used it on someone, make sure you meet up with the people that you're lucky friends with and plan out those lucky trades. You might have something that you've already wanted to trade for, or you could say, hey, let's see what we get at the event, do some mirror trades. It's a lot of fun doing all of those special trades. I got a Shundo Spiritomb doing my special trade in Unova Tour, so you never know what you're gonna get.
There still seems like there's a lot of details about GoFest that haven't officially been announced. So anything that's announced between now and GoFest, those are probably gonna be key things that you're gonna wanna pay attention to. So make sure that you're following, because we will share those on like Shorts or TikTok or Instagram, anything like that, the short form videos. But also follow Pokemon GO's official Instagram or their X, because that is where they also share that as well.
When we play the event, we're going to be streaming a lot of it, so make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. You can check us out on Twitch and TikTok as well. We both rotate who is streaming on what, so could be a Bernie stream, could be a Cream stream. I don't know, we stream at the same time across the platform, so definitely make sure you check that out. And if you see us in person, feel free to say hello.
Yes.
We really enjoy it when someone yells out Bernie and Cream, and then
It's
they
so
come
fun.
and hang out with us. So even if you just stop by and you just say hello, feel free to say hello. It makes us really happy. So we're attending all 3 Go Fest. If you're attending any of these, let us know which ones and what you're most excited for.
And don't forget to stop by and say hello if you do see us, and make sure to subscribe to follow us on our journey.
Bye everyone.
We want to give a huge thank you to our incredible Patreon supporters. Your support means everything to us and helps make content like this possible.
You're helping us take things to the next level. We couldn't do this without you.